What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Mark Zonder of A to Z. Thank you so much for being here today. It's great to have you here.
My pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Anytime, anytime. I got to tell you, I'm very excited for the rest of the world to hear this, the debut of A to Z, the self-titled album. Being that this is, the self-titled album, it's the debut. Obviously, you want to hit the ground running. Was there kind of like a preconceived idea of what you wanted this self-titled album to sound like, or was there like a lot of experimentation involved and a lot of trial and error?
Oh, no, no. This was designed like building a Tesla. It was right from the beginning. I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, couple things. Number one, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and we're going for this. We're not going to like kind of do it and, hey, go to the website to see our artwork and have my buddy mix it. We're not doing that. If I'm going, we're going to go. And my favorite music of all time is just commercial hard rock. Yeah, it can have the progressive element in the playing, but it's the hook. We all love. There's no one who hate. I've never run into anybody that said, "Man, I can't stand a hit song with a big hook. I just can't." You know what I mean? I've heard plenty of like, "What's that 7 times signal? Why does it not feel right to me when I listen to your band?" That I've heard plenty of times. But no, it was going to be a commercial hard rock band, big hooks, big choruses. But I knew what the guys that I was bringing in, they all could play. So all those little things are going to kind of shine, and we're going to do our little things. Compared to a lot of other bands, we're going to do it for 4 bars, not 32 bars. It's kind of short, sweet, to the point. Get there, get out. When we were constructing the music, though, it was always verses, choruses, bridges. It was never 3-minute leads. It was never any kind of big, deep musical passage. It's not a concept record. Good old-fashioned, feel-good rock and roll record. 11 songs that were designed all to be singles and be hits. It's not 2 quote hits and then, a bunch of jazz improv or anything like that. So no, it was designed. It's been designed from day one, and basically everything is designed and thought out before we do it. You kind of sit here at my age, and I kind of went, okay, what are all the things that have come back to bite me in the ass or kick me in the balls or just didn't work? Like, what am I going to get into? And I thought about it that way. And as we progressed, those were all put into play. Try to make sure that there was, as little roadblock going on as possible. But yes, absolutely, this was designed. I'm not going to say this was the Backstreet Boys or Milli Vanilli, put together by some other guy like that. But there was definitely, it wasn't like, hey guys, what do you guys want to do? It wasn't that. Okay. It was designed, and they all got it. They all knew it right off the start.
And well, being that this is, like a real, because that's what I consider it, A to Z, just, from A to Z, it's a rock album, and that's how I describe it. It's rock from A to Z all the way through. That's how I would describe it. It is what it calls itself to be. But being that this project does consist of both yourself and other musicians who have been involved in multiple projects and, have all had very expansive careers, does like maybe your backgrounds and all the different projects maybe help influence this album on maybe a technical level?
Well, what it does is you get guys who understand, and here's just a classic example. Dealt with about 20 different singers. Ray did not quote audition. It wasn't like he was in there. I never called Ray right off the bat because I didn't know what he was doing. Whatever's going on with Fates Warning's none of my business. And I was looking for somebody else. I just didn't want to go down that path necessarily right away, because then everybody's going to say, oh, it's Fates Warning, whatever. So, I dealt with a lot of guys, and I told them, okay, singers, hit song, verse, chorus. Let's think Separate Ways by Journey, Jane by the Starship, Eye of the Tiger. Hit songs, just big hooks. Everybody remembers them. If you have to, think of 38 Special, whatever. Big hooks. I got stuff back that was like, Mind Crime Part 5, like voices. I mean, it was like weird. It was very strange. They just didn't get it. So when you're talking about the question that you asked, you find musicians who get it. I know Ray 2 things. I know Ray is totally into this kind of music because we've talked in the past. And when he grew up, this is what he grew up on. Hit songs, his mom and dad playing stuff on the radio. And, he even goes to the side like I kind of do with the R&B and funk and that kind of stuff. So he's a singer-songwriter kind of mentality. But more importantly, especially as a drummer, I knew Ray sang in the pocket. And That's what a hit song is. You know, there's a lot of prog music, and God bless it all, but the singers are all up here doing like whatever they're doing, and there's no. You can almost see like the divide between the singer and the band. Like, well, what's he thinking right now? You know.
Yeah.
I knew Ray was even on the stuff we did way back when that was kind of crazy. He was in the pocket. I don't think he'll consciously tell you this, but he's looking for the kick and the snare to kind of latch onto, and he did it like nobody's business on this record. And I knew he would though. I just know the kind of singer he is, and like he says, 4/4, give me more. You know, that's Ray's quote. So, no, he banged that stuff out, and people need to know this was not a process, and this band was not a process of like, no, that part doesn't work. Oh, that part doesn't work. It pretty much just kind of just flowed itself out. Yeah, there was some of this. Okay, shorten this a little bit. Maybe that needs to go at the end. Ray's vocals were kind of a one-shot deal. You know, we never gave him the music. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you where the verse is. I'm not going to tell you where a chorus is. We don't know. You tell me where you think a chorus is. And he just blew us away. He was singing stuff where, not that we didn't think he should sing, but we thought it was going to be some kind of musical part. But he made this amazing part out of it. And I think the fact that he was just given the music, do whatever you want to do, you know, he really latched onto that. He could really just express himself, not worrying about, different things. And we never changed anything. There's not a word that he sang back that we changed.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because, you know, rock and roll music to me has always been about breaking rules and, you know, just going all in into it. And, I get that sense with A to Z without a doubt. But, you know, it seems like you did have sort of like a fixed structure idea in a way where you wanted like a hook, you wanted a verse, you wanted a chorus, you wanted a bridge, like, and all this stuff. Was there maybe plenty of rule breaking as well? Or were you kind of like, in a way, because I've heard you mention a bunch of references, was there kind of like an underlying template that applied to the songwriting on this?
No, it was more just of always keeping vocals up front and first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the songs started with drum ideas I had because I sit around and I record these different drum grooves and different ideas. I mean, if you look at the record, Rise Again, total drum riff, you know, that's a drum riff. Silence is Broken, this whole song started with a drum riff. You listen to Trial by Fire, and in that verse, that crazy thing with the cowbell going on, you know, it'd be really tough for me to take a lot of that stuff and shove it into someone else's music. So I've always found that if I can come up with these cool grooves and send it to someone who's locked in with me, they can write to it. And like they say, it's like a very cool drum machine. You know, they just put the loop on and they just start creating. And then, you know, okay, let's go to this part next. Okay, we're going to go to a halftime feel, you know, and we just kind of build the song from there. You know, like what kind of emotion is it giving you next? But yes, there's a very commercial hard rock pop mentality as far as song structures go. You know, repetitive verses, repetitive choruses. I mean, Van Halen, you know, you listen to Van Halen, he sang one verse 3 times. He sang, you know, David Lee Roth sang the same damn thing, you know? But like you said, it's rock and roll. It kind of is what it is. But no, we're definitely keeping in, certain songs, you know, we kind of let it out there. Far Side of the Horizon kind of took that one a little bit out. That one just kind of wrote itself and we went with it. But it's basically a prog epic within 5 minutes. Yeah. It has various parts. I always equate that one kind of to, and by no means, let's not get carried away here, I don't consider it Carry On My Wayward Son, but in the respect of there's so many different parts, like I think Kerry Livgren once said there's like 4 hooks within that song. There's like almost 4 songs within a song, you know? And when we got done with it, we weren't thinking about Carry On My Wayward Son, but when I listen back, I'm like, wow, it's got this hook. Oh, and then it goes to a part where Ray and the piano are just playing. Okay, that's a hook. Then we go to like a halftime lead that's not bluesy, but kind of that David Gilmour, Gary Moore kind of thing. So it's not just verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We did that on a couple songs. Window Panes is like that. Far Side of the Horizon is like that. But the other ones were pretty much simple structures that we wanted to keep and just make great parts and build the song around it instead of having to go through 5 or 6 new parts to try to make the song interesting.
Yeah, Carry On My Wayward Son. I love that song, but after Guar covered it, I can never listen to that song without laughing anymore. I mean,
okay, I never caught that version, but I've caught enough, whether it's Saturday Night Live takeoffs or stuff that shows up in a movie or something like where people are like lip syncing to it or playing air or something good. Yeah, that song's been through the ringer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely in the top 20 songs that are amazing but never need to be played again.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I absolutely hear you.
Yep.
But it's
Don't.
just that fact of that you can get a lot of different hooks
Yeah.
and keep a listener interested.
Definitely, definitely. And by the way, for the record, "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey is number one on that list. But
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're up there. Wheel in the Sky though, never get tired of that one. Sorry, never. You can play that one in a loop. I don't care. That's a good one. Or
I,
Winds of March too. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
I never get tired of "Don't Fear the Reaper," and I love every cover version of it too. So
I have to tell you though, that one is up there for me. I don't know what it is. No, it has nothing to do with the cowbell. It's just
I think it has
I don't
everything
know.
to do with it, with everybody else sick of it.
I'm kind of sick of it. I mean,
Yeah.
great song, great. I mean, I guess that's really the epitome of being successful.
Yeah.
When people don't want to hear you because they've heard it too much. You know.
Hey, people can laugh at those one-hit wonders all they want. Those bands will never have to work a day job ever again because of it. So
Absolutely.
who's
Like
laughing?
I always said, critical acclaim is overrated, and I just want one shot at a brass ring, and I'll make it last. Trust me, I can make it last. But oh no, absolutely. Oh no, when you're showing up in the elevator and your music's playing, you're good.
Yep, exactly, exactly. When it comes to all the projects you've been in, because you're such a prolific artist between Fates Warning and Slavier, Hours at Hand, Dramatica, like being such a prolific artist, is there maybe like a different mindset depending on the project that you are working with, especially, as from what you told me about A to Z? Or is there any, like, sort of like, as I like to say, method behind the madness that maybe applies to every project you've been involved in?
This is definitely a band. This is not a project. As you said, I've been involved in 175,000 different projects, and or more importantly, I've been involved in 175,000 different recording for other artists. Some that people know about, some that they're doing their own self-produced kind of stuff. Like I always say, whether it's your song, my song, or the kid down the street, or Richie Blackmore's song, I approach it exactly the same way. I listen. Well, my first question to somebody that I'm doing work for is, do you want me to cop the drum machine or do you want Mark Zonder to play? It's kind of like, let me know, because I'll take it out and I'll be overly creative. But if it's going to get too far for you, let me know. And I've run into both. I've run into people that just say, man, I don't care if you play a solo from start to finish. Knock yourself out. And then I have other people saying, well, those two little snare hits here, I think they might be a little too much. That's fine. That's what you do when you're hired, and no problem. I'm the master of the punch-in. But as far as just a song, I look at it exactly the same. I listen, I start to play, I come up with kind of a basic maybe idea, and then I start tweaking it a little bit and taking it out. Maybe putting this hand over here instead of the snare hit on the back beat, maybe the hi-hat opening and closing, adding the toms. It's just a natural thing that happens with me. No, I don't zone out and go to a different atmosphere, and I don't see God or any of that kind of stuff. It's basically like my work and how I do it. And because of my age and experience and the hours that I put in, a lot of it I can take right from my head and put to my hands and my feet, and I'm good. Like, I'm not struggling with trying to play something. I mean, we all do. I did. I mean, I still do. When I learn something that's complicated or out of a book, it's still slow and it's nasty, and it reminds me of being 9 years old again. But when I work on people's projects and stuff and different music, I just kind of let it go. I do a lot of thinking. How's this going to sound in a stereo spectrum? If I'm going to hit two crashes, why would I hit two over here? Why don't I hit one here, and then I'm coming back in with the floor tom over here? So sonically, it's going to be kind of cool when people are listening to it. So I'm thinking from a production point of view. I've done enough recording to know what sounds good and what sounds bad. Like, you can't just bash the crap out of everything, even though it's great energy and you think maybe in a live situation it would work. But on a recording, it's going to sound like a bunch of mush. It's the same thing, double bass at 220 beats per minute for 4 minutes straight. It gets a little old, So I'm thinking what it's going to sound like to the listener. How creative can I be? And one of the things, I never really worked on it consciously, but it just came to me, is the drum parts are kind of songs within themselves. There's peaks and valleys. It's all about emotion. It's all about taking the listener, taking them down, up and down. Space is a big thing. I think I utilized that to the max on, A through Z. I could have been blistering through a lot of stuff, but, fills and grooves that have air and space in them so the drums can breathe, because I knew it's going to sound amazing if the tom hits and there's nothing after it, compared to if I come in with a bunch of junk after it. So I look at all my recordings exactly the same. It's music, and I just kind of let the creative thing go.
Well, and it's funny you mention that too with emotions, because I've heard a lot of people say, both drummers and not drummers say that because there's no melody within it, it's very hard to demonstrate emotion within it. But can you maybe listen to, even if you were to listen to not even just a song, but just the drum patterns or whatever, would you be able to tell what feelings are being channeled into there? And obviously, people would probably say, oh, well, it's super fast death metal drums, so that's probably more angry versus, like the smooth jazz drum that are more like calm or whatever. But
well, I kind of like to go to this one. A keyboard, has X amount of sounds on it. Okay. A guitar has X amount of sounds on it. I mean, a drum set goes from a kick drum, which is the lowest and the hardest hitting, to the bell of a cymbal and everything in between. Yeah. So you have, and let's not even get into the whole electronic thing, because that takes it to even another level. No, I think the drums are yes, guitar players with chording, I get it. The emotion, we all know the emotion in that. Absolutely, a drummer I think he has more capability of really creating emotion and feel with sounds. I always go back to this, it's dynamics. And I think that's completely lost in music because everybody's triggering everything. Trigger the snare, trigger this, trigger the kick, trigger the snare. There's no dynamics. It's just kind of like a drum machine. But if I'm playing something really, really soft, kind of pulls a listener in, and then all of a sudden, if I hit something and just pop it, there's the emotion. It's gonna push him back. Then I go kind of back down to the softer. And the same thing works the other way. If I'm, we're rocking out during the chorus, and then it opens up, and all you hear is that hi-hat playing 16th notes. It's a complete roller coaster of a ride. The sound sources are so different that I really think it's up to the drummer and his creativity to make that happen. It's not an automatic thing. Some guys are really good at it. Some guys aren't. Some guys just don't think that way. They're thinking kick and snare, backbeat. That's my job, and I'm good with that. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
but no, I think a drummer can go to town.
Absolutely, absolutely. And has there ever been a time where maybe you had, like, for any project you've been involved with, had maybe like a whole drum pattern written and the band would write over that? Or do you prefer to have always music present before you start laying down your parts?
When I'm getting hired, it's always, someone else's stuff. But A through Z was all done with drum tracks, basically. I mean, I could go through every song. Basically the way it would start, the first song we ever wrote was Rise Again. I had that whole electronic thing happening in the beginning. So I sent that to Viv. He wrote his part over it. And then we basically kind of arranged that and said, okay, let's go for that really big opened up chorus. So I sent him back just a basic drum pattern, same tempo, and that halftime feel, that's the chorus. And he wrote it over that. You can go down the order and song, Far Side of the Horizon, that whole drum thing in the beginning. That was set up, the song was written predicated to that drum beat. And also, if you go to the verse and you hear that electronic stuff going on when I'm playing the kit, that was a beat by itself that Viv wrote to. So a lot of it in the stuff that I want to do, or my band, it's going to start with the drums, just because that's my creative outlet. I don't have to have control of it. Viv came in with ideas. Jupe came in with ideas on his own that we put together, and then moved forward with songs. But I can't be as creative as I want to be trying to put it into someone else's kind of thing. It's just really tough, because you have to remember, most guitar player, keyboard players, with the exception of Vivian probably, because Viv is more of a composer than a, quote, keyboard player, so he has a little bit more of an open mind. They don't think like I think, they're not going to think, like that. And initially I would put that in their song and they'd be going, wow, that's kind of weird. It's like, it's too busy, so that's why I like doing it the way I do it. Since the record was turned in November, I've recorded 106 different ideas that I've sent off to Viv, so if we can start them there, it gets me able to, and I don't think it's selfish. It's just, that's how I want to be creative.
Yeah, of course.
If I turned in like boom tap every time, and believe me, not everything that I give them turns into a song. If they're just ideas, it'd be the same as a guitar player sending me 6 different ideas.
Yeah.
They're ideas. Hey, it only really starts to happen when Viv starts to write to it, and then you go, oh, I see where we're going.
Yeah.
That's like when the magic happens. and that happened all over the place.
And being creative is like people sometimes people see somebody doing shredding guitar, going crazy on the drums or whatever, keyboards, whatever, and people sometimes confuse, I feel, talent with creativity. You could be a robot shredder guitar player, epic, drummer, but can you write a good song? And I think that that's a different creative element altogether. The fact that you were able to play prog metal and play all these different types, as well as collaborate with other artists, and then put out this rock and roll beast, I think that has a creative aspect behind it, because you're able to collaborate, but you're also able to express yourself at the same time. So I think that there is a fine line between technical expression and creative expression.
Oh no, absolutely. And I think the magic really starts to happen when it's the two things that combine each other. I kind of look at this band as, on the surface, you can tap your foot. Oh, that's a cool song. Yeah, that's great. Cool. But then if you were in a cover band and you had to go learn it, it might be a little bit more difficult on all the instruments, because it's not as simple as it seems. And then the inner weavings and the nuances are kind of what make it, to me, special, and what makes it sound like us. I can honestly sit back and say, we don't sound like anybody. Now, I'm not sure if that's good or bad, because sometimes when you're different than everybody else, people go, I just don't quite get that, But
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in that regard.
Well, let's face it. This whole business is damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. If I sit here and say to you, hey, man, this is what we're trying to do. Commercial hard rock, we want to appeal to the masses. We want to play bigger places, want to play stadiums, want to have a bigger budget for the second record, want to go on a better tour, want to have money for videos, Did I ever once in there say, hey, I want to buy a new car?
Yeah.
I got to buy a new house? No. It's just, and everybody will tell you this. Budgets have went to nowhere, nothing. You can't get anything really done, So the fact that I'm sitting here saying, this is what we're wanting to do, I want to make no mistake about it. I don't want people to think this is a Fates Warning record. I don't want people to think this is a Warlord record. I want people to take it for what it is.
Definitely.
Yeah. But no, I don't think that, in those days of self-promotion, of sort of, everybody's on Facebook, whatever, okay, but those days of like bands kind of sticking it out there a little bit, I don't want to say Gene and Paul style, but, kind of that thing of, hey, let the audience know what's going on. If you stand behind your product and you're proud of it and you think it has legs, just don't kind of put it out and hope for the best. Today especially, labels are labels, okay? It's not the old days, okay? We're not going on tour with Bon Jovi. It's not the old days. So are you just going to put it out and just let it die? Or are you going to hump it? Are you going to do everything you possibly can? Because that's why it's called the music business.
Yep. Absolutely. If it was
So,
all fun, the word business would not be incorporated in
exactly.
Yeah.
And but the truth on that one is we'd all be in the basement still.
Yeah, of course.
All in our mom's basements jamming.
Yeah. Anybody who says that this band is selling out or this artist is selling out can continue living in their mom's basement forever. Like, it's...
Can you put that on a plaque and put your picture next to it? Because I'd really appreciate have that hanging behind me, because I've caught a little flack on that one.
Well, how's this? Let's collaborate, you and I. I'll make a drum head with that saying.
There you go. I'll put that right on the front. But actually, I like critical acclaim is overrated. That's the one I like. But yeah, no, it's how it is this day and age. Everybody, it's gotten to the point where anybody can hide behind a keyboard, and no. The album cover is not a swastika. Let's make that really clear.
Yeah. Well, it's look. People like to criticize bands like Nickelback or whatever. They're laughing all the way to the bank, my friend. So in the end, who's playing the stadiums? Who's behind who is behind us? Who's behind a massive stage? And who's behind a keyboard? Just remember that.
Absolutely. Well, I would take that gig in a minute, because it's a great gig.
Every metal elitist would. Every metal elitist says, like, no, I only play death metal. I'm like, if Nickelback offered you $1 million to do one tour, you would pack up your sticks and go.
Well, look where Bobby's playing right now from Fates Warning.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
God bless him.
Yep.
I'm happy as hell for him.
Exactly. So I think everything happens for a reason, and you know what? If you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter. So
absolutely.
Yep. So before we go, I want to thank you for such a great conversation to top
Oh,
the day off
anytime.
with. Is there just anything else with A to Z that you would like to promote with the release of this debut in terms of tours or videos or anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, we're just the album comes out Friday. There's a video for Stranded that comes out. We have 3 or 4 other videos lined up. We think it's very important. I mean, we won't be able to probably tour until next year, just
Okay.
because all the bands of 2021 that got canceled are playing now. So it's a tough gig, but done a lot of major magazines, Rock Hard, or Metal Hammer, Rock Hard, Hard Shock in Europe that have their own festivals. Have different festivals, and we're in touch with all those people, and they want us to play, and we're working all that kind of stuff out. But I just think it's very important, and I know it kind of bucks the trend because everybody says, well, you should only put a video out like once a month. But I'm thinking, you know, if we don't keep this thing rolling and pop one out every couple weeks, it's just going to go away like all those other bands.
Yeah.
I mean, do you? How about? Let me name 3: Iconic, Skills, Generation Radio. You're talking about 3 bands, heavy duty guys. I mean, heavy duty guys. Okay. They put out 1 or 2 videos, and it's gone.
Nothing. I call that rock and roll purgatory.
Yeah, but why? Because, well, first of all, those guys are all too big to go hump their own stuff. They're thinking, let the record label
Yeah.
kind of deal it. I don't see Jason's chef out there posting. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Fair enough.
I don't. But that's okay. I'm sure they all got paid nicely and stuff. But we're in a little different position if we want to make this roll. We have to be outside. We have to be in everybody's face continuously.
Yeah.
And that's part of the part that people, maybe they don't get it now, but the album cover. Hugh Syme doing that album cover. Like it, hate it, you'll remember it.
Well, you always want to leave people wanting more, and that works. But people want a lot more, and people want much more, and they want it much quicker. So that's just the product of the times. Maybe put out a video once every other month, a couple decades ago. But nowadays you need content. People eat content like M&Ms now. So.
Well, the other thing too, we all know people listen to music with their eyes. So you have to, have the video and the music. Because my thought is, okay, you put out a couple singles, they do well, everybody loves them, whatever. But 2 weeks later, you put out another one, they're like, wow, that's the 3rd or 4th song I've heard. That's kind of good. 2 weeks later, wow, man, they got 5 songs and I'm digging them all. Maybe I should buy that record.
Yeah.
But if you do that thing once every month, no, man, I might as well go down and get a job at Starbucks because that ain't happening. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I know for myself. I'm still sitting here waiting for the next Skills video. Where is it? So that's the thing that you always have to deal with the label and deal with that. And it's not even that you're asking for money. It's just you need their support putting that thing out because it reaches so much further out there.
Definitely.
But no, we will definitely be out on tour. This is definitely a band. People don't realize it, but the true story why I left Fates Warning was, well, a couple reasons. Been in the band 15 years, gave it everything that I had. It was basically on a decline. Grunge came in, kind of killed the whole thing. Got married, was going to have kids, just didn't think it was fair to my wife, my kids, the band, and myself to, do this touring schedule. And Fates Warning wasn't like going out with the Rolling Stones where you have plenty of warning. I mean, there'd be like 2-week phone calls. Hey, man, we're going out next week.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I didn't do the Queensryche Dream Theater in the beginning, because I was literally packing a car in New York to move back to LA. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Sorry, honey, I'm going on tour. Not going to fly.
Yeah.
So basically now my kids are 16 and they're coming, they're going. I don't care if they come or not. I mean, it's up to them. But no, I'm ready to go, and we're going out. It's definitely a band, and I can't wait to play this live. I mean, this will be, I think live will be devastating compared to records are great and they're cool, but when you stick it on a stage and a nice PA and it's really thumping, I think you get that audience thing going.
Can't go wrong with that. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark. Everybody, Mark Zonder of A to Z. Be sure to check out the debut self-titled album coming out August 12th, which is this Friday, and we will see you next time on Heavy New York.